Mr. Keith Jones. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. That's a very good artwork. I like the artwork on your as a backdrop. It's very good. Who painted that?
I don't know. It was just something cheap picked up at a car boot sale.
Right, we're done. That's it. Car boot sale. Well, all right. Maybe it was. Ish.
It's pride of place.
Oh, you're very sweet. You're very sweet. So
You
you're
did
in.
tell me to sit with that in the background.
Yeah. You can only come on the live if you're promoting me. That's it. That was the pre-agreement to this.
It was.
So how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good.
Lockdown means that my hair is currently productless on top, which means on one hand you can see the grey better. On the other hand, you can't see where it's thinning. So,
Well, I mean, I can't see it because I can only hear your dulcet tones. I can't see you. So
did you not get the pictures I sent you earlier?
that's a private message. I've saved those to my phone, so I can enjoy those at another time, shall we say? So if people don't know who you are, you're a journalist. You used to be a teacher. I knew you when you were a teacher, when you were teaching kids. And I do school workshops with my normal job, which is painting with radio control cars. That's what I normally do. And you were a teacher, and now you are for how many years now? What, 5 years maybe? Are you?
No, it's more than that. It's we'll probably still be locked down, but in June it'll be 7 years since I stopped.
7 years. And I always remember doing your school talk because at the end of the school talk, I managed to then drive my van into a bollard. I always remember it. Like, I was leaving late or whatever, in a rush, didn't see the bollard, and managed to jam my van brilliantly. And it didn't damage the van, it literally, the wheel and the mud guard, it went in between and it hit the bollard, and
That's right.
I don't know how I got out of it. I don't know how I didn't damage the van more, but you know. So how many brochures of manufacturers have you got in your room?
Okay. There's around about. This is deeply dull, but I need to do an audit at some point this year. But I think there's around about 21,000 sales brochures in here.
That's nearly as many as Hot Wheels I own. I reckon. I reckon you've got the same amount of brochures as I have Hot Wheels. So what I've asked you to do is, because we are going to do Mr. Bean on the classic Mini, on the Austin S Reg. So the Reg is SLW-T87R. So whatever year that Mini is, I want to have some facts and figures about the Mini and that year, particularly that year of Mini, and the variations and colour variations it came in, and so we can have some facts about the Mr. Bean Mini. This is Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, at Goodwood at the Revival one year that he went out in the Mini. So this is what I thought would be quite fun. It was this or Paul Smith Mini, and I thought Paul Smith Mini is fun.
The stripy one.
It is fun, but I think Mr. Bean's Mini is cool. I like it.
Yeah. If you'd let me know in advance, I could have got something. Can you wait an hour while I just get
An hour? No, I'm going now. Right. Anyway, enough of this waffle and chit chat. That's people haven't tuned in to see this. They've tuned in to watch an artwork, obviously. Just the benefit of your dulcet tones. So basically, tell us about the Mini, give us some facts about Minis, but also talk about what you do, what you've been doing during lockdown, as a motoring journalist, what you've been up to, and then they can follow you on Twitter as well. You're quite funny, I'd say, occasionally.
Do you know what? In lockdown, I hardly go on Twitter anymore.
Oh dear, I feel privileged.
Well, I know. And, talking about privilege, I did notice when I just logged into this that you don't follow me on here.
What?
Which is slightly awkward.
Unbelievable. I don't believe that at all. I'm pretty sure I do. I will double check. Sorry if I don't. I will.
Well, no, it's fine. You know, it's just times like these when the world's in a really surreal place. You learn who your friends are.
All right, fine.
Having to give up my day and take a half a day's holiday to just get some facts and figures together for you, just to
Right, okay. I'm going to start drawing now.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise,
You're dragging this on now, aren't you?
right. This is right. So it's 7:00. This should be finished by about 7:30, 7:45, so I can have a bite to eat and before I have a Zoom thingy, Bob.
Yeah, I've got some Finder's crispy pancakes that are going to be done about 7:10, so I'll have to break off. What do you want me to start with?
Whatever facts you've got about the classic Austin Mini or whatever Mini it is, yeah.
People will have to excuse the fact I'm turning to read what I wrote down earlier so I didn't forget anything.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. Not that you can see that. Okay, so most of us, I think, know whether you're a sort of dyed-in-the-wool car geek like some of us I know, or if you're just a passing car enthusiast. Most people know that the Mini was launched in 1959. What many people have forgotten over the passage of time is that it wasn't actually called the Mini when it came out. When it went on sale in, checks notes quickly, 26th of August 1959, it went on sale as the Austin 7 and the Morris Mini Minor. Now, that was twofold reason. Firstly, the Morris Minor was already a very successful car, and by calling it the Mini Minor, and therefore a smaller brother to it, the hope was that would inject some positive vibes and it would increase sales and so forth. And Austin at the time was famous for having a couple of generations of previously old cars pre-war called the 7, and that was the choice of name. And if I show you this, let me see if this works if I swap the camera around. Here we have a brochure from 1959, a bit ratty, as you would be if you'd been in somebody's attic for all those years. And you can see what they did as a marketing thing was they swapped the V of 7 around to make it look like a number 7. However, the car was never badged as such. Swap that around here. And the interesting thing, or not, as probably the case is that by 1962, management at Austin and Morris and so forth had realised that despite how the car was badged, people were just calling them Minis. So by January 1962, a decision was made to stop calling the Austin version the 7 and just call it. And developments went on as any cars do, and life cycles improved. And by 1967, when the Mark II version was introduced, it just became Austin and Morris Mini. The minor part was then dropped from the Morris version. And then by 1969, one of the biggest significant changes from a marketing point of view, the Austin and Morris brands were dropped as well, and the car became Mini. And Mini became the brand name, as it has been essentially. There's been a few times where it's been marketed as both an Austin and Morris in the future, but badge-wise, apart from a brief spell in the early 80s where it had an Austin badge and it had the word Austin on the badge on the grille, it's always been Mini. And the basic shape, although there are subtle changes to the design of the grille, the shape of the rear lights, whether the windows on the doors slid or wound down and things like that, by and large, the basic design of the saloon has remained pretty much the same all the way through to when production ended in October 2000. Now, Ian specifically asked there if I can dig out one from, you say an S reg, Ian?
Yeah, SLW it is, so, yeah.
Oh, W?
Well, SLW, so it's an S reg, yeah, SSS.
Hang on. Let me find one from late 70s anyway. Okay. Right, swap camera. So, here's one from late 70s. Now, you see on the front of this one, it's a 1275 GT, which at the time was the quickest of the Minis in that period. However, it wasn't all that fast. These, when they came out in 1969, were actually slower than the Coopers that had been launched before and had gained such a strong reputation over the years. You'll also see it's got the longer nose that the 1275 GT shared with the Clubman versions. Now, the idea of that was to give the Mini at the time a more modern look. Bear in mind, when those came out in 1969, the car had already been on sale for 10 years, and the competition had gained in popularity, gained in size, and the extra length at the front made it look like a bigger, slightly more modern car. But of course, at the back, it was the same as before. There was no more room, either for passengers or for luggage in the small boot. This is probably one of the most boring things anybody's ever watched online. Let's have a quick look through the brochure from the
so
side.
we've got the basic.
Oh, yes.
The basic outline is done.
Is that Thor stood on the top?
Yeah, Thor with a mop. Yes. So the basic outline is started at least. I haven't done a figure before, so I don't know how it's going to look. But
Okay.
there is there it is so far. I'm liking the factualness about it. It's very. I feel like I've got a history lesson going on.
I'll try not to run out of facts too quickly because I've just realised we're only 6 minutes in. So this is the basic city version. I'm not quite sure what version was used in Mr. B. This was the basic 850 City. The cheaper ones still had the round nose at the time. It was ironic that it was the more expensive ones had the Clubman nose. And you see, this is quite a late one. So the brochure cover has what was then the Austin Morris logo on the front, but it's still badged as a Mini. And the car itself, if I get a bit closer, God, this is tedious, I realise. There's the Leyland flying plug hole badge on the bonnet. But you see the car there, not quite full with wheel trims, and obviously a joyous scene outside a railway station there going on. Oh no, it's an underground, I think. There we go. Anyway. Now we've got, slightly upmarket, rather than the basic City, we've got the Supers, available with an 850 engine and 1,000. And what better way than to show off this magnificent car and its brushed nylon interior than a lovely chocolate brown example.
Oof. I mean, as an owner of a brown car,
Oh yes, your Chevette.
my Chevette is very much but yeah. Don't forget, it would have a much more glamorous name than brown. It would have been like my Chevette is Copperstone Starfire.
No, okay. Now the scene going on here outside the Willows, which is presumably some sort of wicker furniture place, has just drawn my eye. And this is quite a revolution for me. I've not seen this before. This one's got a different badge on the nose. Now whether that was because the Super ones had a different badge, or if it was just what British Airways had around at the time that decided to fit on, I'm not sure. Now, Clubman's, as you can see, a bit nicer interior, and such delights as a heated rear window and reversing lights. You'll notice those rear lights carried on in production right until the Mini went off sale in 2000. Slightly different interior as well. We've got the instrument pod immediately in front of the driver rather than the central speedo, which Minis became famed for. And this is a delicious blue example to pull out a little bit there. And again, you can see that longer nose there. It's also got different side lights under the bumper and different indicator units. More interestingly, if you're into this kind of thing, I appreciate probably nobody else barring me is the Estate. Now, by this point in the Estate's career, it had lost the fake wood trim. Clubman Mini Estates from 1969 through to the mid-70s had a very dark wood-looking applique down the sides. And that was different from the earlier Minis, the Countryman and the Traveller. It was a Countryman if it was an Austin, a Traveller if it was a Morris. The more expensive versions of those had fake wood trim along here and around the wheel arches and so forth, but basically looking like it was framing the rear of the car. However, it wasn't structural like it might have been on, say, a Morris Minor Traveller. It was purely decorative. And you could also order cheaper ones that just had all metal bodies. If we look at this one, by this point the fake wood had gone, and we've got this nice contrast colour tape all the way down the side. And if we look closer, you can just see Mini Clubman logo. Now that basic shape, even with the longer nose, remained in production until 1982 on the Estate, whereas the longer nose died on the saloon versions in 1980. But from 1980, the Estate stopped being called a Clubman. It was simply Mini HL, and it quietly disappeared from production.
So that's where the Clubman name is. That's where it, what's on the cars now. It's still it existed then, and
It did.
Yeah.
So it came out in '69. Clubman didn't necessarily mean just the estate version then. You could also get the Clubman Saloon, as we showed on the previous page. There we go. But people tend to think of Clubman as the estate then, as well as now, which is why the contemporary Mini Clubman has twin rear doors in tribute to the original. And then I say the range topper at the time, which wasn't that well loved, despite the helmet design, and the trio of instruments there, and it was the 1275 GT. They're not especially quick.
So it was called a GT, but it wasn't like any faster, any.
It was faster than the other minis at the time in that it had a 1.3 engine, 1275cc engine. I'm just going to be boring and see if it's actually got any specs in, so we can. Do you know what? It's not actually got any performance details in. Oddly.
So the GT was a GT because it was a bigger engine.
It does. Let's see. So we'll zoom in so everybody can see rather than just me reading out the numbers. There are 54 brake horsepower.
Oof, what a
compared. If we just scroll across to the previous page, whereas the Clubman with a 1.1 had 45. So again, not the most exciting of things. We'll just let everybody who wants to have a quick nosy look at those. 4-speed gearbox, obviously. You'll spot here, for those that aren't aware, Dunlop De Novo wheels. They were actually early run-flat tyres.
Oh, really?
Mm.
So how come that didn't massively catch on? Yeah, how come run flats is still a relatively new, seems a relatively new thing? Is it just because it just was a technology that was developed and not really?
Yeah, primarily it was the expense and because the technology wasn't as good as it could have been at the time. And very few people took it up. I seem to recall reading something recently, actually, when I was scrolling through some old magazines, suggesting that it was only around 4% of all mini buyers took it up. So it was an expensive thing for British Leyland and BL to buy in, so they stopped using it.
I guess they would have tried to. Would they have developed that across the other models, or was it just a?
It was available across various models, but just very low take up. This is another similar era mini brochure, slightly different in style, slightly earlier as well. This one here is in sand glow, which was a colour that my mother had a mini in at that time, which obviously everybody wanted to know. Very big close-up of those rear lights with the reversing lights that the cheaper minis didn't have at the time. And a lovely chocolate brown Clubman estate there with the gold tape on the side.
Was it? Is that literally just kind of sticky tape type?
Yeah, sticky tape. And the same thing was on the. If we look at this mini, this is 1275 GT again. If we look across the bottom of the doors, and again, just similar to what companies do these days with stick-on badges and stuff. Now, I'm not quite sure of the year of this. Ian, you asked earlier if. Got any paint colour names? And this is sorry, my camera is terrible here because I'm looking at what I'm filming rather than what I am filming. This is an old mini, colour and trim guide, not just for minis but for the whole range at the time. So as well as the interior trims, we've actually got proper colour samples, proper paint chips.
What in the brochure?
It says it was a separate guide. I think I don't think this one's dated, but I seem to think it's around late 70s. Somebody who's far more expert on these matters than me will know for sure. If I zoom in closer, you get the full effect of the entire range there. So that was sand glow like my mother's.
So what was the closest to the kind of the Mr. Bean green? That kind of.
Well, I'm wondering if it might be this one, although it's not a particularly good representation. It's one called Chartreuse, but I don't think that's quite as bright. I've always wondered if the Bean Mini was actually a different paint that British Leyland never offered at the time. Got a choice of two whites there, white and Leyland white.
Well, the pen that I'm using to do the green is called lime green, so I'm gonna go with that kind of lime green.
And one thing that was quite rare at the time was the option of metallic paint. And here we've only got 5 choices for the entire range. I'm not even quite sure which ones are available on minis. Nice Brazil metallic.
And in terms of number, like in that, have you got like an idea of numbers of what was it produced that year, or how what kind of totals of them, or is it?
Not off the top of my head. It remained one of the best-selling cars in this country at that time. So it was probably one of the top 10, certainly top 20. It was probably one of the top 10 bestsellers. I should have had a chance to look up that before as well. Actually.
That's all right.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, Ian mentioned as well, that one of the things was the Paul Smith mini he was looking at doing. And in the 90s, Rover, as was let me turn the camera around, produced a limited edition Paul Smith mini. As you can see, it even came in a polythene carrier bag. Now, unlike the stripy one Ian was going to paint, this one wasn't quite so bold, but it had some bold touches. So I open it up. You can see the car itself was a lovely blue colour, but the top of the engine and the boot, and I think the inside of the glove box.
Yeah, glove box as well, yeah.
All painted. He says are the most awkward unfolding. Oh, there we go. Bright lime green, full black leather interior.
And it had an emblem on the front of it as well. It had like a green. I think it was a like the.
It's the outline of the British Isles, or Britain certainly. Yeah, just poking out between because they have 4 spotlights on the front as well.
Yeah, because I only know that because because John Quirk has one. And
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he has a Paul Smith mini, and I've painted it. I created an artwork of it. With Alex Goy, actually.
Oh, I've seen your artwork. I didn't realise it was John.
Yeah, John Quirk's, yeah. Which he bought and then had in his flat in Birmingham. So he had a flat at the Rotunda, and my framers then had to haul this artwork up many flights of stairs to get it in position. But yeah. That's right. Because I remember painting on the front of that painting has got the green splodge for the Union flag. Well, British Isles even. Sorry.
Now, again, during the 80s, there was a massive explosion in terms of the number of limited edition minis. One of the first actually came out in 1979 to celebrate the Mini's 20th birthday. So it was only quite an old car, but before the 80s even began. By standards then as well as now. And that first limited edition one from 1979 was the Mini Special for the 20th birthday, and it came in either silver or metallic copper with a contrasting vinyl roof. But what many people don't realise is not only did that have the 1100 engine as the manual gearbox Clubman's did with the round nose, which until that point wasn't a combination you could get in this country. Those limited edition minis celebrating the 20th anniversary of an iconic British car were all built at Leyland's Belgian factory. And so the story goes at the time, because the Minis and the Allegros were built there primarily for export, but some came back to the UK. Supposedly the story at the time went that those tended to be better built than British examples, and therefore people who worked for Leyland or BL at the time would often request those specifically rather than a British-built one. But the limited edition thing carried on in the 80s and through the 90s, right through to when production stopped in October 2000. And primarily that was because the Mini was constantly surviving a stay of execution. The Metro that came out in 1980 was supposed to have replaced it, but didn't in the end. And over the years throughout the 80s, there was talk of, production is going to end this year, and there'll be sudden increase in demand, and sales in Japan, where it was popular, and in France, where it was particularly popular in Paris for a number of years in the 80s and 90s, helped cement production keeping going. But as well as that, in order to keep the buyer's interest, limited editions kept coming out several times a year. And a couple from the 80s, I've got brochures of most, if not all of them, I think, but probably best limited to a couple. This was one of the first examples of trying to give the Mini a slightly more upmarket image with the Mini Ritz. And you can see, actually, this, I mentioned this earlier, I think this is deeply tedious for most people who are accidentally tuning in just to see Ian's artwork and wondering who the hell this boring guy is talking.
No, it's all about, it's about the information.
We've got a combination here of the stylized 80s version of the Mini Shield badge, but also there was a period of time where they also had, the lighting's not very good in there, but a period of time where they also had an Austin badge on the grill.
So it had Mini and Austin?
Yeah. So it was dual branded for a while. But it actually said the word Austin on it. I know you have to watch this later if you're really interested. But yeah, for a while it did have Austin badges back on top. But we can see inside the velour 3-colour interior. With the Ritz logos. You'll notice that the Austin badge doesn't appear on the back. Just the Mini and the Ritz stick-on logo.
I mean, and are these sought after? Are these like how many? Are these limited to a number or?
Yeah, they were. I mean, sometimes it was around 500. Sometimes it depended on which edition it was, essentially. And sometimes there was a theme to them. So if just pop onto this next one, this was the Mini Designer, done in conjunction with Mary Kwan, I believe. Not going into that kind of thing, unfortunately. I believe that's Mary Kwan's logo. But you'll notice this one, particularly around the grill area, there's a lot of deep chrome going on. So the only bits of chrome were where they had to appear, and that was, say, around the windscreen and around those rear quarter lights there, which popped open. And again, it's more obvious on the white one, with the black trim, also around the headlights. And the familiar stripy Mary Kwan signature upholstery as well. But it was in 1990, after a 19-year break, that Rover, as then was running the show, the Control Mini, introduced, again as a limited edition, the Cooper. Reintroduced, I should say, this time with a 1.3 or 1.2 1275cc engine. And initially it was a limited edition. And that limited edition itself was brought about because in the years before that, Rover had introduced a series of other limited edition Minis, the Checkmates, the Racing and the Flame, and also to a lesser degree the Rose and the Sky, that had a contrasting roof colour like the original Mini Coopers did in the 60s. And that reignited a passion from buyers wanting something sportier from a Mini, not necessarily sporty in terms of modern performance in the early 90s. But the Cooper was reintroduced initially as a limited edition, and then as a full-time member of the range from the end of the year. 2 years after that, the regular Minis, which were then the Sprite and the Mayfair, gained 1.3 engines as well. And then by 1994, all Minis had fuel injection. And the primary reason of that, along with virtually every other petrol engine car on sale at the time, was in order to allow catalytic converters to be fitted. And that's how long ago we're talking those for the Mini. And fuel injection was essentially better to get through the emissions controls than an old carburetor engine could. Also introduced around that time in 1992 was a convertible Mini, the Mini Cabriolet to give it its proper name. Rather like the earlier versions of the BMW era Mini, they had a big pram-like hood when it was folded, and it looked rather cumbersome when it was up as well. But they were very expensive, £12,500 in 1992.
Crikey.
Which is around about £27,000 today.
I mean, what could you get at a similar price from if we're talking kind of Ford, other manufacturers? What was similar in cost? Yeah, for that time, that seems quite a lot, quite steep.
You've really put me on the spot now, Ian.
Oh no, sorry. You know when you're gonna have a thought, you go, well, what
Popular hot hatches like say Fiesta XR2i,
yeah,
Rover Metro GTI, Nova GSI, that kind of thing. They would have been around a similar price bracket. However, what that did buy you with the Mini was exclusivity.
Yeah.
There's only about 1,200 were made at the time. And the first 70 or so, 75 were built by a German converter, and the rest built in the UK. Now again, £26,000, you would struggle to get a high-end convertible Mini these days for that. But obviously, this was by that point a very old car. It was 33 years old by the time that went on sale.
Wow.
It was the first official cabriolet version, so completely different prospect from a convertible Mini today. But yeah, that exclusivity is probably quite sought after now. Please don't ask me about values though.
Oh no, because when we're talking about the GP1s are still hovering around about 16, 17 grand now.
Okay, so they've not really dropped
They haven't,
significantly from when you...
because of their 2,000. Yeah, there's only 2,000 of them. And they have that kind of rawness manual. It is what it is. It's unique for that era. The prices haven't actually dropped massively. They're still pretty. Valuable cars essentially.
Yeah. Now I did. I've probably worn out all I can regarding old Minis without looking at my notes and looking even more amateurish. I did say I'd give a tour around.
Yeah.
Bear with you. These are all just... I often get asked what they're in. These are just IKEA Billy bookcases. And despite the weight in them, and despite what looks like a wooden floor, it's actually tiles on top of concrete I-beams, so it's not going to give way. But they're only, Billy bookcases from IKEA. Not terribly expensive. Yes, and you will see some of the shelves bowing. You see a slight curvature there. But they've done the job. So down this aisle we've got magazines. Primarily on the left is Autocar. I'm trying to build a complete run of... And on the right here, motor. Load of motor show catalogues. And then here, on those shelves, apologies for the camera work. That's every issue of Car Magazine. If I come around the corner. Ian's artwork there.
That's the best bit, obviously. And you've got a retired car as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I've got some collated books that I'm sure many of you recognise down this aisle, along with the start of the brochures. A load of nicked post office boxes from work while I move stuff around it. So the brochures clearly need sorting out, hence why they're all slightly skew with. Not as tidy as the magazine shelves are. And then more down here. And this is essentially, does sound rather overblown, say a lifetime's work, but this is stuff I've collected from childhood. And whereas most of the people I was at school with who collected brochures and so forth tended to stop in their mid-teens and so forth, I just seem to carry on and collect even more over the years. And this is the extent of it. By the time you get into your mid-40s and you're not stop doing something like that, that's how mad it can get. People, I've been following the government advice, staying safe, and going out and essential. As a car writer, a car journalist, that's obviously poses many restrictions, because one of the main things we do in the job is to go out and drive cars and repair them. In a normal week, we probably tend to drive 5 to 7 cars where I'm at, and down is where we write for Parker's Car Magazine primarily. So yes, to only drive 1 or 2 things occasionally is, still a position that many people aren't in. Realise that, and it's very difficult to change how we work.
Oh, Keith, you're breaking up a little bit, chap.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, a little bit.
So in terms of the work we do, rather than writing so many new car reviews, because we're not going out driving, we're going out updating other reviews, news and so forth where we can. And then outside of work, I've decided to put my collection to greater use, finally. And I'm in the throes of compiling what I hope to be a particularly good reference book when it comes out, hopefully towards the end of next year or maybe the year after, depending on how long it actually takes. And again, I appreciate for most people this is incredibly tedious, but what my aim is to do is to have a complete reference work of every car officially sold in Britain post-war, since 1945, where you'll be able to dip in, see the model history, how each make and model developed over that time, and also have some specification tables where you'll be able to look at the main performance figures, economy figures, where they're published, engine power figures and dimensions. Exactly the sort of thing I could have been doing and looking at when Ian asked me earlier if I could let him know things about the old Mini. How's lockdown affected you, Ian, in terms of working from home? Has it been such? I know you're doing something completely different with the continuous cars, but is it a major distraction from normal, or does this now feel your new normal?
I think the thing for me was, I, as soon as events started to get cancelled and moved and postponed, that was I didn't have a job. Like, the 14 years I've been doing it was like, right, I've got to think of something else and do something else. It wouldn't have been right for me to be working in the studio. One, there's a health and safety thing of being the only person on the site. There's the area, the kind of the areas that are for all, essentially toilets and wash areas and whatever. It wouldn't have been right to be down at Fargo, and the site is closed. It's closed to the public. I couldn't have continued to do my normal job, mainly because my works are so big. My artwork is so big that I can't. We've converted the garage downstairs into like a messy area downstairs and a non-messy area upstairs.
So that looks tidy.
Yeah, ish. Tidy for me. But I think the one thing I've always found is that the human interaction element was always going to be the bit that I missed most. Was that kind of meeting people, chatting to people, seeing people, is something I've worked with for many years, and that's what I really enjoy. So I was like, then I started doing. So lockdown was on the Tuesday. Got got the studio downstairs. The garage turned into a place to work by the kind of Thursday, Friday, and I started to draw on the Friday. Like I did some drawings, and I just time lapsed them, and I time lapsed them. People were like, "Oh, that looks really good. Can you do my car?" And then I just started to do more. So the first couple were pretty basic, but people really liked them. I got good feedback from them, so I just kind of went with it, really. And so we're now on 220 now.
Okay.
Order, generally done to order. So manufacturers, brands, individuals are all getting in touch to have their own car done.
Is that figure proving tricky? I know you said you don't tend to do people in your artwork.
Well, you're breaking up again, Jack.
Doing that figure tricky. I know you said you don't do people too often.
I haven't done a person. So it's one of those things that you start it and you go So I'm like, it's all right. It's an okay figure. It's not bad. It's not bad, but I've never done one before, so it's just kind of you give it a go, really.
Well, when we started this conversation, you mentioned about the time you came into the school I used to work at.
Yeah.
and I don't know if you recall, you did a little portrait of me very quickly.
Right.
I have got somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it is now. However, I've probably hidden it because I seem to recall at the time one of the students we showed it to said I looked like Rolf Harris.
Yeah.
It's securely locked away.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, it's actually even from this funny angle, I can now tell what that is.
Yeah, he looks all right at the time. He looks, yeah, he'll probably need a little bit of tweak and a little bit of just layering it up to make it look more like him. But
Now, one thing I was also wondering is when lockdown's over and you're back to creating your larger scale artworks using the remote control cars and stuff, do you envisage that it's going to be possible or particularly tricky to do a continuous car artwork using a remote control car?
they're two. I want to keep the two things separate. So I think there's going to be I think the continuous cars will be one. So PopBangColour is the brand. Paint with Cars will be the radio controlled artwork, and continuous cars will be the drawing. And there'll be merchandise and stuff produced with these images. So, and it might be that it continues in some kind of way, because I'm quite enjoying it and quite enjoying the interaction element of it. So it could be, if I've got time to do it, something I do once a week and people can interact with, and people know it's this time of the week that I do continuous cars, and it could be a thing still. The main thing is we're going to produce a book, and the book is going to it's being crowdfunded, so you can go and buy a copy and pre-order it now. And yeah, that's the ending. All these images are going to go into a book.
Are you hoping the book's out for Christmas for people?
Yeah. So after when things are a bit more normal, we'll aim to get it into the published. So there'll be 100 books initially, and then there'll be a run of 250.
Okay.
So that's all online now on crowdfunder.co.uk /continuous-wheels.
Yeah, get the added.
So
I realise you might not be able to say because it might be confidential, but of all the events you were due to be creating artwork at during lockdown, before lockdown was a thing, what are you most disappointed so far about not being able to do, or which few are you most disappointed about not being able to do?
I think the reality is it's a global pandemic and it's affected everybody. It's not just the kind of the car world. Yeah, but some things just affect one industry. I think with every industry you can think of is affected. Hopefully, those events will happen at some point, and we'll all be able to go and enjoy them again at some point. And that's why I hope. I mean, and that's why I hope will happen is, things will get back to a normality of sorts at some point, and we can all go and enjoy car events again. I think I was very fortunate that last year I had a really good year, and it was really fun. So, I mean, I can't look at last year and go, it was really great, made the most of it, and at some point we'll be back to creating and being at events, but I'll have a whole different body of work that people would have seen online and interacted with.
Well, other than the change of work circumstances, what have you found to be your biggest headache to overcome through lockdown?
It's just getting you it was just a chat but I think because I tried literally when lockdown was announced, Taz was like, right, get everything out of your studio. So I think
because it wasn't like we weren't umming and ahhing about what to do. It was more like let's just do it because we don't know how long it's going to go on for. I think I didn't spend a week or anything kind of umming and ahhing or frustrated. I was just like, right, let's go and do let's do something else. Right, I think we are pretty much done. So there is Mr. V Mini. Ta-da! Hope you like it. And thank you very much for all of your information.
Yeah, sorry for the 20,000 followers we lost during that
I'll
conversation.
don't be silly, sir. But thank you very much for all of your information. It really was very appreciated.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you soon, mate. Thank you very much. Bye.